Hello everybody, SlimKirby here, and I'm going on a long journey of trying to complete every single Game Boy Advance game in North America. This is the story of the highs, the lows, and all the silly stuff in between for the Game Boy Advance completion experience. This is GB Ace. Game number 41, Matchbox Crosstown Heroes. Hey, so have you guys ever wanted to be a firefighter or work for the police department in some way? Patrolling around the town or city streets and doing good for humankind? Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Now we finally can in this relatively unknown gem, Matchbox Crosstown Heroes. Although, maybe it's too early to call this a gem, so let's settle on an unknown pebble for the time being, and see how this plays out first. Matchbox Crosstown Heroes was released on July 14, 2002 for the Game Boy Advance, and developed by Imagine Engine and published by THQ. Now, if you're wondering about the name Matchbox, well, let me enlighten you. Matchbox was the name of a toy brand that released miniature 1x64 scale vehicle toys. Think Hot Wheels, but less emphasis on vehicles with speed and more on vehicles with all practicalities. Another defining feature was that each toy used to come in a small, pocket-sized container, much like the containers that would hold matches, hence the name Matchbox. I don't think I had any Matchbox cars growing up myself personally, but I definitely had Hot Wheels, so I guess I was on the other side of this particular branding war. Not that I really would have cared back then anyway. So yeah, I guess the general breakdown for this game is you take control of a specific vehicle tailored to a certain job, fulfill some generic objective in the town, play a quick minigame or two, and then, well, you move on to the next job. That's really about it. I guess in a way you could describe the missions here as kind of similar to those missions in Grand Theft Auto, where if you, for example, drive around in a police car or ambulance and then press the L3 button, you activate a series of missions related to that vehicle's job. So you catch criminals in law enforcement, or do the paramedic missions when using an ambulance. That kind of thing. And hey, I grew up playing Grand Theft Auto, and I doubt this game will be as intense as that series was, so this should be a walk in the park, right? Well, let's find out together, shall we? The completion goal for this game is just to beat all 6 levels from New Game, and that's really about it, and not at all that complicated, so this should be a snap. After selecting a New Game, you'll be greeted with a control option selection between Rookie and Chief. Now, I'll be honest, this is not a difficulty selection, rather a selection for how your vehicle will move during gameplay. Rookie means that the vehicle will turn towards that general direction you press on the D-pad while accelerating, regardless of where you're facing, while Chief only has left and right turning, meaning you'll shift towards that particular direction based on whatever direction you are currently facing. Think of it as the Free Star versus the Steer Star in Kirby Air Ride's Top Ride mode. Personally, after trying both styles, I found Chief so much easier than Rookie, just because it was more in line with other games I had played and just made more sense to me from a logistical perspective. I started with Rookie, and yeah, it was a really awkward experience for me. But thankfully, you can change it whenever you get an opportunity to. Sometimes, you just gotta do whatever is more comfortable and convenient for you, you know? So yeah, it's time to be some Crosstown heroes, and it looks like we're starting with the fire department. And we already have our first objective too, as we have to put out all the fires and find all the lost puppies in town. As I alluded to before, I started off on Rookie controls, and yeah, driving like this just did not feel right. It felt like it was so easy to crash into stuff, and whenever you did, the vehicle always started to veer off in a different direction, making it really hard to stay on the general route you were going while working on your objectives. With the face buttons, you accelerate with one of the buttons and perform that vehicle's special action with the other, in this case spraying water with the fire hose. For this mission, we have to put out fires and rescue puppies. Obviously, with the fires, you just have to face the building or tree that is on fire and then just use the fire hose until the flame is extinguished, moving yourself around if you need to adjust the angle at any point. For the puppies, as brutal as this will sound, you kinda just make contact with them. This obviously brought a lot of questions of morality into play based on what the footage made this look like, but please, please remember guys, I love animals and I would never do what's being implied here. You'll also find several other citizenry and animal types roaming around the map, but they're just kind of there. Some will be used for other missions, but others are just kind of distractions more than anything. After you complete one of the objectives, you will be taken to a quick minigame you have to play through, and once you complete the 2 minigames, you've pretty much completed the level. Now, in regards to fail conditions, there aren't any. Or at least there didn't seem to be any, unless they are just super lenient. As a result, you can really just take your time here and complete this at your own pace, and if that doesn't take off the pressure enough, if enough time goes by before making any progress, the game will just flat out point to one of your objective spots in an okay, get on with it manner. As someone who really detests the super guide in modern Nintendo gaming, at least with how persistent it is with doing the work for you in a lot of cases, I hated this mechanic, just because, come on, it isn't easy enough already. In fact, I kinda consider it an insult whenever a video game does do this, because I didn't want the hints. You didn't even ask me for one, you just flat out gave it to me, and I just don't really like that mentality. Maybe I'm making too much of it, but it's just never really vibed with me. Anyway, for this first run, I ended up rescuing all the puppies first and got started with my first minigame. For this one, it's really not that difficult, you just have to collect fireworks in a vertical auto-scroller where you only move left or right. Now, unlike the main stages, you can actually fail these minigames, but I wouldn't say it's that much more difficult, and is more of just a do it before time runs out, or before taking too much damage sort of stipulation. You also have to beat 3 levels each time you play these games, where each level increases the number of things you have to take care of or collect. So here you have to collect 5 fireworks in level 1, 10 fireworks in level 2, and 15 in level 3. While doing this, you need to avoid other obstacles and creatures, as they will put damage on your truck, and if you take too much, you'll fail. You also need to spray water on lit fireworks, otherwise you'll take damage while collecting them. Thankfully, you can recover damage with the wrenches throughout the stage though, so yeah, it's really not that challenging. Once you complete all 3 levels, you get a check mark for the minigame, and return to the map to work on the other objective. I funnily enough only had 1 fire left to put out, so I waited for the on-screen notification to pop up and drove over to take care of it, starting another minigame in the process. This game was less vertical scrolling and more horizontal, and we needed to spray the open windows of the rooms that are on fire. And once again, there were 3 levels of this, each one with additional fires to put out. You have to be a little careful in this game, as you want to avoid spraying rooms that don't need to be sprayed, as that will penalize you here. And if you're wondering why that would penalize you, well, let's just say you probably don't want to be directly sprayed with a fire hose. It may seem like it's just water, but no, the amount of pressure coming out from that hose is absolutely lethal. So I can see why you don't just want to spray everything willy-nilly here. You also want to look out for the other tenants dropping pies on you in your car, as that will do damage and once again max out that damage meter and you'll have to try it again. Sometimes they can drop wrenches to fix your car too though, so be on the lookout for those. After completing the minigame, we actually complete level 1, so now it's on to level 2. But wait, Mayor McCheese is in trouble and we have to rescue him from a building fire, so we go back to the map again to put it out. Thankfully, we just have 1 building to put out this time, just multiple fires in the same building. So there really isn't a lot of work here. However, I did notice some odd hitboxes while doing this, so you may have to make small movements and reposition yourself plenty of times during this to get the fires extinguished. There was 1 flame for me that just did not want to get put out for some reason, and it was rather irritating that it took so long. Eventually, we got it though, and we were finally able to move on from this. We get the rank of Firefighter and get a new vehicle to use, the Airport Fire Pumper, which is really not much different from the fire truck, maybe just a little more powerful or something. Also, you can probably see that I'm driving better in this level now too, as this was when I officially swapped over to the Chief controls. Just made the most sense and felt the most natural to me moving forward. There weren't any minigames this time though, so I once again just had to put out fires, rescue puppies, and then our foolhardy mayor gets in trouble again, so we have to rescue his hide once more. After which we get promoted to Fire Chief and then move on to level 3. Forget everything you know about firefighting, because now we're in a police car and we have to stop a bunch of crazed monkeys as they steal everyone's possessions and cause a bunch of penguins to roam free. So now we have to stop all this chaos. However, it's pretty much more of the same as last time, just in a police car this time. Obviously, we don't have a fire hose this time, so instead we have our police lights, which can stop a character frozen in their tracks. Perfect for the monkeys we have to round up. And instead of rescuing the puppies, we have to rescue the released penguins, which, yeah, unfortunately made to look like we're running them over as opposed to rescuing them, but come on, who would ever do such a cruel and terrible thing to a penguin? Boy, I hope my friend Kingo doesn't show up during this part of the game. He's a big penguin enthusiast, and I'm sure he would be very disappointed if... Oh, god dang it. And for the minigames this time, because they do come back again for this level, we have pretty much slight variations of the games we played before. One horizontal scrolling game where you have to shine the police light upwards at the monkeys, getting them to drop items that you have to collect while avoiding the banana peels, and a vertically shooting game where you do pretty much the same thing, each with 3 levels of intensity you have to beat until you move on to the next level. Man, this game is really trying to stick to one formula here, isn't it? Anyway, after beating both games, we get another mini-objective where we have to rescue one of the citizens from the evil, rambunctious group of monkeys, and thankfully they're all just bunched up in one place, so not very hard to do at all. We rank up to police officer after finishing level 3, and yep, it's on to the next level with level 4, this time with a police SUV. And much like level 2, we do the exact same thing we did in the previous level, but without the minigames, so... Yep, you know the drill here. Okay, level 5 time, where we get upgraded to an armored police car, and as far as what we're doing now, well, now we have to capture the trouble. Definitely another classic GBA screen cap that will now forever be immortalized in GBA's fame. And in addition to that, we also need to retrieve the lost loot. And as far as the new vehicle, once again, the action changes to something else now, and this time it fires balls of laughing gas at our criminals. How fun, I guess. But yeah, same old shtick. Drive around, complete the objectives, and then play some minigames. The vertical scrolling game was a little weird this time, as you have to hit the criminals with your sub-weapon, and they're hiding under or inside some of the objects. But if you hit the objects, they will make a mad dash for the top of the screen to escape, and they are much faster than your projectile shots. You kinda have to predict how they're going to move and react accordingly, and also hit their hiding place not too early so you have more than enough time for them to run into your blasts. Probably the hardest variation of this vertical scrolling game, but still not incredibly difficult. And for the second game, we have the horizontal... Wait, a left-to-right tower defense shooting game? Well, this was incredibly different from anything we've seen so far. Still incredibly simple though, but really strange how this was when they decided to show us something different. After the games, we have the final segment of the level, and this time we have to rescue someone who may as well be the Monopoly Man at this point. But this time not from fires or ravenous monkeys, but literal barricades that the guy could literally just walk around. Why are we helping this town again? Anyway, using our armored car, we just slam into them a bunch until all the barricades are down, and once they are, that's level 5 completed, with us becoming a crosstown agent. It's time for level 6, the last level of the game, and this time we get a literal battering ram. Pretty based vehicle to close this journey off, I must say. Anyway, just gotta do all the same things as before, so retrieve the loot and capture all the baddies, then save this rich old fuddy-duddy from the life-threatening dilemma of being slightly inconvenienced by easily traversable barricades. And once we do that, we can finally become crosstown heroes. Wow. Just like the name of the box art! How swell! But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. We go back to the main menu. I couldn't find any cheats or additional game modes worth mentioning, so I just decided to play the credits and end it there. So, game complete. So, here's the deal with this game. This game is not bad. This game is not good. This is quite literally a game that just exists in its own world, and that's really all that it needs to be. Honestly, the idea for this game was fine, and even though the entire game was just a generic cycle of levels that you do once and repeat twice more, it at least wasn't terribly long, so while it was repetitive, it was not annoyingly repetitive. It just needed way more content and variety to be interesting, and in its current state, it was just kind of there. Even the graphics and sound presentation weren't entirely memorable. Definitely not the worst of the system in any respects, but I wouldn't say anything was super noteworthy. The music track for levels 5 and 6, the crosstown levels, was kinda good, I guess, but I don't know if it really was outstanding, or it's more so just me grasping for any kind of straw that this game could use in its favor. That's all. So, for the scoring, I gave overall game quality a 1.5 out of 5. Maybe it deserved a 2 in some respects, since it truly wasn't a bad game, but quite literally, this was a one and done after not even an hour of playtime, and you could make the argument that you've experienced the gist of it after only the first 2 levels anyway. So it definitely needed way more meat here. For personal enjoyment, I initially gave it a 3 out of 5, but after watching this back, I am lowering it to a 2.5 out of 5. Definitely a game that was probably more fun to stream than actually it was to play, and the fact that it was a quick game is probably what resonated with me a bit more at first. And for difficulty, yeah, it's a 1. Not 100% brainless, as some of the minigames can fail and are a little awkward, but there's literally no penalty, so no stress required. So yeah, 1. But yeah, that was my adventure of playing Matchbox Crosstown Heroes. This is actually not the only Matchbox game we have for this challenge, as there is Matchbox Missions, Air, Land, and Sea Rescue, and Emergency Response, which seems like a combo game of sorts, so we'll have to see more of what that is when we draw it. Until that time truly comes, though, let's take a sneak peek at the next game we'll be playing for this challenge. Okay guys, thank you for watching this summary. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave a comment and or like on the video, as those will really help me in these videos out. And stay tuned for future summaries of this series. If you also want to watch full playthroughs of these games for this challenge, check out the video description for a full playlist of everything that's been uploaded and exported so far. And if you're curious about what I'm playing right now for the challenge, be sure to stop by my Twitch channel to see what my current progress is. Just be warned, I'll be a lot further ahead of where we are for these summaries, so keep that in mind. This has been SlimKirby in the GBA series, and I'll talk to you fine people next time. Later, folks.